All right, hello, hello. We are back on Shuten Order. If you're curious, today is what, January 18th. So it's been a little bit, but we are continuing on with Minister of Security route. No, Minister of Justice route. Yes, they're so close. Like, what is justice? What is security? We can have that whole like debate. I don't know. But yeah, if you're new here, I'm Kels. Nice to meet you. I think we're near the end of a route, so I would probably recommend going back to the beginning of this route if you're brand new, but if you're not, I mean, look, it's all up to you. You have complete control over your mouse or your thumb or however you're watching this. I'll also give a quick disclaimer. I apologize if you can hear bells in the background. George has been ringing them for about 15 minutes now, so don't know what's going on. We've also got a storm out, so if you see me like look over this direction, it's because there's a window here that I keep watching Bo in. So if I die in the middle of stream, or I guess recording this, you know why. All right, Ministry of Justice route. What did we find out? So, shit, that's a really good question. I remember being really hungry last stream, which is always great for recall. So, as a reminder, we are trying to figure out who, or I guess what is going on with this will. So basically, rich guy dies. In his will, there is the stipulation that whoever is still alive by the end of day 3 of the will reading gets to inherit the fortune between 3 brothers and the maid. Okay? Youngest brother immediately shows up dead. So he's been electrocuted to death, which is a very interesting way to go, and was found out on the lake in a boat. Middle brother died the next day, trying to actually kill the maid, and it was set up against him. So basically, he tried to shoot her through a hole in a bookcase, and when he moved the book, that caused a gun on the other side of the bookcase to fire. So, fuck around and find out. And then we found the eldest brother dead in the greenhouse. So there's some weirdness going on here. We also know that the family was growing tobacco, which is currently being made to make not only grass, which is the leaves of it, we're talking sort of like low-level drug, but also virus, which we may remember from the Ministry of Justice route. No, Ministry of Security route. I'm going to get this right one of these days. Ministry of Security route is the drug that all the heretics are taking, that causes sort of these hallucinogenic effects. There's also been a lot of questions about, like, what is God, which is, I think a valid thing to ask since we're on God's trial. But the biggest thing is we need to figure out what is going on, because once we get this figured out, Inugami has decided that he will tell us everything that he knows. He already let us see what we think is probably the scene of the crime, which is sort of the prayer room in the cathedral. Took us there. Did actually seem to somewhat trust the founder. So we've got some sort of doubts in our mind. But yeah, I think it's all kind of going to come down to this. Right now, the only person left for the will is the maid. We don't know who's killing people. Obviously, the dead father knew that people were going to die. So, don't know if this is one of those like human nature things or what. Whether he's actually set something up. So we are on day 3 of the will reading. Let's get into it. Once again, I remember that like I really should have done this the other way, where I did the will reading after we did the investigation and not taking the break in between. But now then, it is time to commence the inheritance meeting. Let's be rid of any unnecessary introductions. All right then, the survival battle for a huge sum of money. Let's get on with it. Oh yeah, we also found out, or figured out, that we think maybe the maid is his daughter. Because she looks a lot like the first wife, I guess, that died. So, lots of questions. We have lots of questions. Well, hopefully we get some answers. Ugh. He must have snuck some grass in. Oh, God. Great. He's on drugs, too. I can't even imagine what's going to happen next. All right, then. Let's get straight into it. Can I say something? Oh, my. You are... I'm Damon. I work here as a servant. Yeah, Damon. Damon, right. You have something you'd like to say? In honesty, I have something that I have to share with y'all. Oh? And what opinion could you possibly have to share with us? I wouldn't say an opinion so much as... But I felt that I need to share what I saw, no matter what. And what did you witness? Not so much witness, but when we went into the greenhouse this morning, I saw a small pouch on the ground near Master Yoichi's body. Would you be speaking of the pouch belonging to a woman? That's right. About this size. I would like to point out, just because it's got a bunch of makeup in it does not mean it's a woman's pouch, but, you know, whatever. We don't need to be precise with this language. I know who that pouch thing belongs to. Is that so? Let it out then. Who? Mizuno. I knew it! It was you who killed Yoichi! No, I didn't! I can't work with her anymore. Mizuno killed the master! Mr. Domon. Mr. Inugami. This should settle it then, right? Girl, what do you think you're going to inherit? Your husband died. Like, as far as I know, you don't have any claim to anything. That woman is a criminal, a heretic. She has no right to the inheritance. It's true that it could be important evidence, substantial in proving the crime. I also believe her to be the culprit. If the other successors all die, then she gets the whole inheritance to herself. There's no way she wouldn't take action in such a situation. So, she is the murderer. I don't think that's how we, You know what? None of these people have had any sort of deductive sense. So. I agree as well. The reason? None really. It just seems to fit. Is a reason really necessary? Yeah, I think so! These are the accusations being made. So, Miss Mizuno, do you have anything to say in retort? Oh. She's being suspected again. I suppose it can't be helped. She is the only remaining successor. Yeah, but if she is the killer, then the ministry gets everything. Or the Shuten order gets everything, so... But I know for a fact. I know that she's not the one responsible. Okay. Maybe let's ease up on the I know for a fact. We don't know for a fact. We slept outside her room, so we know she didn't leave through the front door. That's about all we know. There's a window in there. We know that there's a window in there. Please, wait! Okay, I assume it's our night watch that... I was keeping watch in front of her room the entire time last night. I figured that someone wanting the inheritance would target her. But no one appeared. Also, Miss Mizuno never left her room. So she wouldn't have been able to go kill Yoichi. Mr. Shimobe, I'm not so sure about that. Let me make the truth known. A trap was utilized in the murder of Kishiru. So it would only be natural to assume that Yoichi was killed in a similar manner. The murders surrounding the Kukuri family inheritance were committed by the same person. That seems also like a stretch. Like, there's no proof of that. And? What are you getting at? If a trap was set up in advance, her alibi from last night means nothing. If she uses a trap, she wouldn't have to take one step outside. Am I wrong? True. There's more proof that she did it! There was something I noticed with the first killing, with Seizo. He was murdered by a large machete, right? On that day, I saw that machete lying in the garden and said to put it away. To Mizuno, of course. The machete is always put away in the shed. Anyone could get it if they took some time to look for it. I'm not so sure about that. I'm sure you use that tool, so fitting in your poor hands as a weapon. Damn, girl. Using a machete as a weapon. No, that isn't right. Can I say something? All right, the weapon used to kill Seizo Kukuri was not a hatchet. What is our evidence? So it's just his cause of death, I would assume. Duh. I'm saying duh, and later it's going to hit me with something like it did last time, where it's like, I don't know how you want me to put these pieces together. When looking over this body again, it was discovered that he died of electrocution. The machete wasn't the murder weapon. What in the world are you talking about? There was a machete jutting out of his abdomen. Machetes are typically for splitting and are not really made for stabbing, but I suppose death by stabbing with a machete does sound unnatural. If Seizo was indeed electrocuted to death, can you explain what happened? De Shimobe? Of course. Under what circumstances did Seizo Kukuri die? The answer should be clear by making deductions around the cause of his death. See, I talked really big a second ago, and now it's gonna just hit me with this. Let's go over each article and the state of the murder scene. Okay, that was like 3 weeks ago, man. Oh, and we have a full board. Okay, I can do this. The cause of Seizo's death was... Okay, we just talked about this. Electrocution. Oh, neat. Okay. The cause of Seizo's death was electrocution. That information came from Himeru, so I'm not sure how reliable it is. But let's start based on this. Alright, so are there any signs of electrocution? If it was electrocution, there should be some trace on the body somewhere. Was there any evidence of that on Seizo's body? Well, he did have the burned hand, if I remember correctly. Let's see. The palm of his right hand is burnt black. It seems to be recent. We're going to go with this, because electrocution, high heat. Yeah. A burn on his right hand. This is the evidence of electrocution. All right. Where did Seizo get electrocuted? Where was he electrocuted to begin with? He was found outside. So was he carried there by someone after being electrocuted? No, let's think simpler. Could anything have shocked him around where he was found? I mean... I don't think the rope is metal, is it? Used to tie the boat to the pier. When the body was found, the rope had been untied but still tied to the support. So the boat must have drifted close to the opposite shore while still moored. I can't tell if... I want to say that they told us there was metal in that at some point, but... Okay, the bridge support isn't important. Where did he get electrocuted? Alright, we're gonna see if I'm just completely misremembering. Nope. I am, apparently. No, that wouldn't electrocute him. To get electrocuted, it would need to be a machine or something with a current. Okay. A machine or something with a current. So, we have a chemical machine and we have the lighting system. Well, Not that one. There wasn't anything like that where the body was found. Well, yeah. Try to remember. It doesn't have to be right by the body, but near it. Try to recall the lay of the scene, horizontally and vertically. The actual fuck do you want me to do here? Vertically. If I remember correctly, there was something here. Alright. I don't know how I was supposed to connect the dots that that was a thing, but the cable is severed, so it seems like the light does. Okay, so we do have a severed cable. I want to know how long that rope is, though. Because, like, based on that illustration, it looked like the bridge and the pier were pretty damn far away. So, there was recent damage done to the bridge's support. Lightning cables were exposed. That cable was cut. There's no mistaking it. It was cut. So, there could have been a short circuit. There's a high chance Seizo was electrocuted by that cable. Don't ask me how to prove that. Okay, why did he get electrocuted? Assuming he was electrocuted by the bridge cable, how would it have happened? It doesn't seem like it would be something someone would touch. Wait, let's look at it from another angle. Maybe he didn't grab onto the cable, but if he accidentally touched that cable after doing something, then that must be it. So what was it he was doing there then? That's a real fucking good question. I mean, the machete. So he's got the machete in his right hand, which is the burned hand. He touches the machete to the cable. The current goes up the blade, up the little wire to it, and electrocutes him by the hand. We're going to go with it, because it makes logical sense to me. It may not actually be correct. What was Seizo doing with that machete? No. What was he trying to do? Okay, maybe not. Oh, okay. What was Seizo doing with that machete? Okay, his brothers were nowhere near, so he must have been trying to fell the bridge. He was trying to fell the bridge. That fits how things were left. But the reasoning for it was... Let's leave the reasoning for later. This answer seems to fit logically. Anyway, to fell the bridge, he was using the machete to break the supports. While doing that, he accidentally damaged the cable. The leaking electricity went down the machete and flowed to Seizo's right hand. This led him to dying by electrocution and explains the damaged post and burns. Alright. We're really grasping for straws here. Alright, so where was Seizo's body found? I can answer that one. But where was his body discovered? It wasn't at the bridge. I mean, it was found on... Oh, not there. It was found on the boat. But why would it have been found in a boat? It would have been, based on the information we have, it would have been very hard for him to have just fallen. And there's two issues with this, right? So if he falls, he happens to fall directly in the boat. How does the machete end up inside him? Someone had to have carried him there. Did someone carry him to the boat? The killer? No, why would he be carried to the boat? It isn't a great place to hide a body. The body was found quickly. There would be a high risk of being seen moving the body. This can't Okay. Can't be the answer. Apparently, he just... I don't know how it's logical that he just coincidentally fell in there. He fell to the boat. The electrocuted Seizo was thrown off the cliff and... Yeah, this is a rather reasonable answer. Okay. But why would there happen to be a boat where he fell? Are we not going to ask how the knife ended up in him? Was it a coincidence that the body fell directly onto the boat? The body was discovered because the boat just happened to be there. Something feels off. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. It was precise and cunning, a devilish plan to achieve a goal. Then I need to find proof that the boat just didn't happen to be there. When the body was found, the rope had been untied, but was still tied to the support. So the boat must have drifted close to the opposite shore while still moored. This seems logical to me. That's it! It wouldn't happen to drift there if the mooring rope was attached. But what if the rope is typically untied? It would be sent adrift by the wind. I don't know anything about before the case. I can't prove anything. No. Someone had testified. The boat's mooring rope was tied by someone. Oh, don't ask me who. Who was it? That is so long ago. Think. It had to be someone who's still alive. The one who testified about the boat. I want to say it was Dumont. Oh, thank God. Yes, that was in their testimony. After apparently making up that there was metal in the rope, I was like, how much more did I make up from that one? Yeah, we wrap it around the pole here, but as you can see, it's been unwrapped. Maybe that's why the boat was floating off towards the shore. Fortunately, it was still tied to the pole, so I was able to pull it back in, but... We wrap it around the pole here. It was still tied to the pole, so I pulled it in. I see. Something floats to the surface with this testimony. The boat wasn't at the foot of the cliff by accident. And one other thing... Don't ask me what that one other thing is. I'm not following. Got it. From these testimonies, the conclusion that we can draw is this. All right. I know the answer. Fantastic! Let's hear it then. 2 mornings ago, Seizo damaged the bridge support with a machete, trying to fell it. A lightning cable was cut, and it electrocuted him to death. What? So it was an accident then? Hold on a second. Why would he try to cut the bridge in the first place? His motive was... I know that too now. Looking at the proof, the answer is... Did Seizo Kakuri try to drop the bridge? What is the evidence with the written intention? Terrifying. Finally gonna throw my brothers into a pit of despair. Alright, we're gonna go with the message. I don't know if this is correct or not, but in other words, Seizo's reasoning for cutting the bridge was... He was trying to interfere with the inheritance meeting. He figured he wouldn't receive very much of it, so he planned on sabotaging the reading of the will to ruin the whole thing. To do that, he tried to fell the bridge to keep Inugami away from the manor. and that resulted in him getting electrocuted. He then fell from the bridge onto the boat floating in the lake. As he fell, he let go of the machete. Its fall was slightly delayed, and it thrust into his abdomen as he lay on the boat. Okay. There it... I'm not even gonna go there. Thank you for someone calling bullshit. That's quite a stretch. The boat just happened to be there, and the body just happened to fall in. No, I believe the boat was placed there by the culprit. They would have predicted the electrocuted body would fall onto the boat. I do think the machete falling and piercing him was a coincidence, though. According to the evidence, the boat was usually tied to a post with a mooring rope. However, at the time of the crime, the rope was untied for some reason. Isn't that right, Mr. Domon? Yes. That's why the boat was floating off towards the shore. Then why did the killer plan to have the boat be there? It would be harder to discover the crime if the body simply fell in the lake. Well, the culprit must have wanted Seizo's body to be found quickly. The end of the rope still being tied to the post tells us that. Huh? What do you mean? Can you explain that in a way that makes sense? The rope could be pulled back, making it easier to bring the boat back, so... The reason for wanting Seizo's body to be found was... Okay, apparently it was... My entire thought process has been... If someone dies at the beginning and takes themselves out, then logically, that person is faking their death. Right? Because especially in this like world where everyone wears masks, has anyone actually checked whether that's Seizo? Because we wouldn't have a clue. All right. Okay, we're gonna fail that. I need to use the Phoenix Wright method and start saving after each one. All right. We kept watch. Yeah, it's really coming down out there. All right. Oh, nope. I still don't necessarily think that the information that we found from our angel friend should be accepted in this not courtroom, but we'll ignore that for now. All right. Are there signs of electrocution? We know the burn mark. Where did he get electrocuted? That bridge. You know, they kept talking about how Seizo was hitting on Mizuno. I wonder if they were actually an item. Like he was taking himself out so that she would inherit everything and therefore he would inherit everything because they're together. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, where was his body found? On the boat. I'd also like to point out it would be very hard to have the boat end up where you think it's supposed to be, but especially since he died from electrocution. All right. Was it a coincidence? Like, it should autosave right there. Okay, so we are going to save so that if I fuck up again, we don't have to redo it. All right, I know the answer. Yada, yada, yada. All right, what is the evidence with the written? He wants to sabotage the meeting. The reason wanting Seizo's body to be found. Oh, I get what they're asking on that one. When I read get rid of the inheritance, I was thinking get rid of his share of the inheritance, not necessarily correctly distributing it, meaning correctly without his part. I was thinking correctly distributing it, being all of them still there. Okay, to correctly distribute the inheritance. Correctly distribute? Yes, if Seizo's body sank into the lake and was undiscovered, we wouldn't be able to know whether he was living or not in accordance with the will. So part of the inheritance would be up in the air, and Seizo's portion wouldn't be correctly distributed. The culprit most likely wanted to avoid that. In other words, the culprits wanted to precisely reduce the denominator for the distribution, right? Then that would mean the killer is among the successors, and that woman is the only one that's left. It was really you then who killed Yoichi? Yori Mizuno. I already told you. I was keeping watch all night from the hall. Yeah, they've already argued, though. That testimony no longer means anything. Dr. Shiratori already said that. Everything up until now has been traps. So of course we can assume Yoichi's killer would do the same, right? If a trap was set up in advance, then last night's alibi means nothing. She could have secretly set up the trap during the day. Right. If all the murders have been by traps set up in advance, then there is a possibility that the trap was already set when I was on watch. That argument had already come up. In other words, the culprit could be... Mr. Shimobe? You don't suspect me too, do you? Let's calm down and think. I suspect her, but that's because I have no idea where we're going with this. Like, someone did something. I don't put it past, Inugami either, so I just know we weren't the culprit. That's all I know. Anyone else, fair game. Was there any evidence that proves she didn't do it? Okay, Yori Mizuno was unable to prepare a trap. What is the evidence to prove it? I mean, she didn't know whether or not she'd be in the will. We're gonna go with this. I don't know if it's correct. Oh, it is. Okay. That's it. The decision should have already been made on the first day's meeting. Well, the first day's meeting. The trap that killed Seizo would have been set before the will was opened. Miss Mizuno didn't know the contents of the will, so she wouldn't have set the trap. It is impossible to know the contents of the will before it's been opened. Isn't that right, Inugami? That is true. Good of you to remember, as expected of the great detective. And Mr. Shiratori said the culprit for the Kukuri murders is probably the same person. If Miss Mizuno wouldn't have killed Seizo, then the others are highly unlikely as well. So, Miss Mizuno wasn't the killer. Yes, that's it. The motives for this case have been from the details of the will. That's the truth. It's the theory. Yeah, that doesn't... There's still something wrong here. Wait a minute. It's impossible to know the contents of the will before it's been opened. Thinking about it another way, only the one who knew the details of the will could have set the traps? I told you I didn't trust him. Someone here that already knew the details of the will. There's only one person. It can only be... Are we gonna do this? We're gonna do this. Is something the matter? Reishimobe? Why are you so pale? Look at me. Inugami. You said this about the will. Only the departed and I know the details. Is that true? Yes, of course. I am the face of the Ministry of Justice, after all. I get so distracted by the violins in this every single time. It's so good. Like, the soundtrack of this has been fantastic. There's no one more fitting than me to oversee the will of the Order's largest tycoon. Then, the only one capable of setting traps for the potential successors would only be you? You do have a point. We also don't know if he read the entire will. So, a blind spot. It's a blind spot to think the very Minister of Justice would... That can't be, can it? Mr. Inugami. Kishiru Inugami? You were the killer? Then the one that murdered me really was you. Come on, Reishimobe. And all of you too. Are you really suspecting me? Do you really think I, who administers the law and doctrine, would commit murder? Then let me say this. I truly did know the contents of the will, okay? But what of it? None of the Kukuri family inheritance would go to me. So, what reason would I possibly have to kill the brothers? Is this where the law and where justice or truth and justice are diverging? It's true. Mr. Inugami doesn't have a motive. Hey, you! How do you explain that? That can easily be explained with one piece of evidence. Can it? The Kukuri inheritance wasn't unrelated to Kishiru Inugami at all. I want the details. Okay, so there's two things here, right? Just gonna think through thoughts process and see if I come up with something. Or so that everyone knows where I'm coming from when I make a stupid choice. So, we're also going... I can't save right here. I should have saved right before. So there's two things that implicate Inugami. The first is, if there is no one left in the inheritance, then the... all the money goes to the Shuten order, right? So, therefore, the Ministry of Justice, in theory, may get a kickback from that. But the other thing is, they're growing and making both illegal tobacco and virus, which would then make them heretics, which would then involve the Ministry of Justice. We're gonna go with this one. Nope, that's not it. Alright, Inugami's motive is... Motive for this case is all tied to it. Nope, not that one either. Oh my god. We're just gonna go ahead and reload. Ah. Okay. Tried to overthink that one, apparently. If I remember correctly, there was an odd phrase in the will. Why would you not put that in the details? Right? 3. If no one fulfills the above requirement, the entire inheritance will be donated to the Shuten order. If all successors perished or were disqualified, then the large inheritance will go to the Shuten order, correct? So it was money. You really did all this just for the money. Wait. Even if the money went to the order, I don't benefit from it. And if it did go to the order, wouldn't it better the lives of all members? That's only if you report this case, though. You are looking to settle it all here, putting it in your pocket. I believe you're all mistaken about something. Do you really believe someone could process the entire Kukuri inheritance in secret? True, that wouldn't be possible. It's too large. It'd be impossible to hide alone. Right. Plus, I don't have any interest in money. What motive would he have if not the inheritance? A reason for Kishiru Inugami to kill the Kukuri family. Could it be... Besides money, it is what Kishiru Inugami is obsessed with. What is the evidence to prove it? Okay, is here where the tobacco plant's going to come into play. There we go. I was thinking too far ahead, apparently. This wasn't about the inheritance. But wasn't it about the tobacco being cultivated in the greenhouse? I see. So that's it then. Tobacco? What are you talking about? The darkness of Kukuri Pharmaceuticals. Something not even you knew about. Darkness? What are you going on about? Mr. Kukuri was growing tobacco in the greenhouse. You've all seen the flowers growing in the greenhouse before, right? That? So, they were tobacco flowers? Why would the president illegally grow tobacco? It was supposedly of interest from a chemistry standpoint at first. Then some information was received from a source. Information that a component of the tobacco can be used in making a drug. Recently, a drug called virus has been causing a stir in society. Why do you, a doctor, know more about this than me, an executive? I used the pharmaceutical route to spread the drugs Mr. Kukuri made to clients. I was in that sort of position. Shiratori had referred to Kiyomasa as a business partner before. So that's what he'd meant by business partner. I may have done it for money and crossed some bad bridges, but now it's time to step back. You think that you can just get away with all that? You were smuggling illicit drugs. There's no proof left showing that I was involved, other than the fact that you just said it out loud to us, but I don't think that we can technically prosecute you for that. It looks like the dog of the law has soiled himself with murder, so he can't arrest me. Damn. What? You can't be serious. The president was secretly smuggling drugs. If this were to get out, the company would be ruined. Huh, that old bastard. To think what he was doing in secret the whole time. Drugs. What a rotten, evil bastard. He should just die. Isn't he dead? Oh, wait, he already did. Can we get back to the topic? All right. So, where were we? The motive. Why did Inugami kill the Kukuri siblings? Inugami, you are an avid smoker. You were possibly involved with drugs as well. You wanted more drugs. Isn't that what you were thinking?
So you plotted to uncover the drug refinement method known only to Kiyomasa. To monopolize that drug for yourself. That's nonsensical. It seems like you see me as some kind of junkie.
You aren't?
Even if I was,
would I really have a reason to kill the Kukuri siblings? The reasoning for killing the Kukuri brothers was... Now I'm nervous, so... Alright. My guess... Okay, so, could be the money, but he really has no real interest in money. We're gonna say to monopolize virus.
The Kukuri family were stopping you from monopolizing virus, weren't they? And even if you knew that there are secrets in the greenhouse, you wouldn't know how virus was actually created, would you?
So you picked off the siblings, cornered Yoichi, and tricked him into trapping himself in the greenhouse.
If you did that, he would surely escape to the secret laboratory. In other words, it's a scheme to access virus.
Well. Seems I underestimated your deduction skills. Continue, please.
Yoichi entered the greenhouse by himself and opened the hidden door to the lab. Even if that's true, how could I kill him? It must have been a trap. Yoichi was killed in the greenhouse by a trap that had been set beforehand. And what kind of trap was that exactly?
What kind of trap was Yoichi killed by?
This is likely the greatest mystery of this case. It's okay. I've made it this far. If I rethink everything up to now, I should be able to reach the truth.
I'm nervous. I'm still nervous.
First, let's start with figuring out the murder weapon.
We're saving again. Okay, the weapon used to take Yoichi Kukuri's life. What is the evidence to prove it? Alright, so the only... Shit, I don't remember. I don't remember what his cause of death ended up being. So we have blood on the sword. But we also have the empty medicine capsule. It definitely wasn't any of the guns or the machetes, right? I assume those have been in some sort of collective place. So, the sword has the blood on it, and I assume that was what was used to take off his limbs. The medicine capsule would have been used to incapacitate him. Technically, both could be right, if I remember correctly. We're gonna go with the capsule. Nope, wasn't it.
The sword held by the goddess statue had bloodstains on it. The murder weapon must have been the sword of the goddess.
That is correct.
Huh? Are you committing to the crime?
Are you admitting to the crime? No, I'm disagreeing with your reasoning. Given the situation, the murder weapon can only be the sword of the goddess. However, think carefully. I am going to refute you now. That sword cannot be removed from the statue. You confirmed that yourself, didn't you? So, what now? How could that sword have killed Yoichi? And is this not supposed to be a trap? So this is the end of your theory? Or will you persevere? Show me the so-called miracle of the fallen god. Yeah, I thought he'd maybe figured us out.
Neither God nor miracles have anything to do with this. I just want to know the truth.
Even so, I can't see it just yet.
What happened to Yoichi Kukuri? How can I solve this mystery?
Oh, okay.
Sorry if this is not my place to say, but why was my pouch
Found in the greenhouse. Is now really the time to start asking more questions like this?
Perhaps this is a hint to something. The reason why Mizuno's pouch was found on the ground. Right. If we combine this with the other evidence, we might start to see something.
Alright, the reason Yori Mizuno's pouch was in there was the empty capsule. Normally it would contain a powdered drug.
Come to think of it, the pills in Mizuno's pouch and the empty pill found in Yoichi's pocket, they are identical. What does this mean? Was Yoichi plotting something? What exactly?
Why did Yoichi have Mizuno's pouch? I'm assuming to frame Mizuno. Because I don't know how he would have killed her with it.
To frame Mizuno as the culprit? But how did the pills fit into this? Let me rethink this.
Okay. I don't know how he would have killed her with a pouch, but... Alright. The weapon was Goddess Sword. Okay. The evidence as to why that was there. It's that. Now we're gonna save. Feel like we're doing this like every 3 seconds, but apparently he was going to kill Mizuno with her own medication.
That's it. If Yoichi filled the pill with some kind of poison and put it in the pouch, why would he do it up there? Mizuno might have mistaken it for her usual supplement and just taken it as usual. Perhaps Yoichi suspected Mizuno, and could it be that before he himself was killed, he tried to kill Mizuno? To kill me? But if he used a knife or hit her head, the crime would be discovered immediately. That's why he came up with poisoning. To do that, Yoichi must have stolen Mizuno's pouch. To make Mizuno ingest the poison herself.
How was he going to do that before the will reading the next day?
And what was that poison?
The poison Yoichi was trying to make Mizuno ingest was... I'm gonna guess it's the concentrated virus. I can't see my evidence at this moment, so... But we know that they were trying to make virus in the machine, so...
Yes, it must be the concentrated virus solution. The concentrated virus solution? Apparently, 100% pure virus is extremely poisonous. What are you two whispering about? You haven't told me how Yoichi met his end yet. Tell me.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Are you really thinking for yourself? What? You act like you've been piecing it together, but hasn't someone been guiding you?
What do you mean?
Shimobe, could it be that someone is deceiving you? Deceiving me? Blessed be the Shuten order. Then let me present to you the painful truth. The truth, you see, isn't gentle at all.
Why is that? Because reality is heartless. I will once again assert that Mizuno is the culprit.
What? Indeed, Yoichi stole Mizuno's pouch and tried to poison her. But on the other hand, what if Mizuno got wind of it? In other words, Yoichi utilized the lighting system to rotate the greenhouse and avoid surveillance. He planned to return Mizuno's pouch to the mansion. Meanwhile, Mizuno, anticipating Yoichi's actions, quietly slipped out. Hold on! I was in front of Mizuno's room all night! Without sleeping? Was there really not a single moment you weren't keeping watch? Well, I had my moments of drowsiness. Then Mizuno seized those moments to slip outside. Then she fetched a machete from the storage and headed towards the greenhouse. At that moment, the greenhouse had just rotated. Yoichi ran into her from the back. There, she killed Yoichi with the machete. No. No way! Are you saying she severed Yoichi's head and arms? She regularly uses a machete for work, so she can manage it, right? But why? First of all, if she did go to the greenhouse, why would she just leave her pouch there? She probably didn't notice it in the dark. It was night after all. Wasn't Yoichi dismembered to ensure he wouldn't survive? How about it, Mizuno? I didn't kill anyone! Please believe me, Mr. Shimobe! And as Mr. Shimobe said, I won't give up on the truth. I want to live with my head held up high! So... Yes, of course. I believe you, Mizuno. Well, well. You can believe because there's truth in it. The founder always showed us the truth. That's why we believed. That's the Shuten order. And the truth of this world? Can you show that to us? Yes, I have to, or else we'll never reach the truth. I won't give up. Hmm. By the way, it's been almost 48 hours. Soon it'll be 12 o'clock, you know. Once this meeting is over, you and I will be done. We'll have to leave this place. Can we uncover the truth by then? All I can do is wish you luck. Great detective. Mr. Shimobe! Yes, I will definitely save you. Yes, please save me, Mr. Shimobe. Don't worry, I'm slowly piecing it together. Let's calm down and organize our thoughts. Yoichi's siblings were killed one by one. He feared that he would be next. Believing Mizuno to be the culprit, Yoichi came up with a plan to kill Mizuno. So he took Mizuno's pouch and hid it in the greenhouse. He did this to replace the pills in the pouch with poisonous ones. And that poison was concentrated virus. This should be right so far. Now, where did Yoichi go to obtain virus concentrate? Where is the entrance to that place?
I mean, the entrance is the secret entrance. This feels too easy, but... Okay, apparently it is that easy.
That's right, you can only get virus concentrate from the underground laboratory. To get to the laboratory, you need to operate two things. First, he used the lighting system to lock the greenhouse. Then he operated...
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember how we opened it. Is it the manual handle? Used to be vertical, but after Yoichi's death, it's now somehow lowered horizontally. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of assumed that the goddess's sword moving meant... I may be jumping ahead again, but... Okay, okay.
You pull the sword of the goddess statue like a lever to go underground. Naturally, Yoichi must have... Wait a minute. The goddess statue's sword could be the murder weapon. Even Inugami acknowledged it. The precise moment he touched the sword could have been when the trap was activated. Perhaps something happened in that moment. How could blood only be on the upper end of the sword while the victim got severed? Mr. Shimobe. I remembered. Everything in Mizuno's pouch was broken. And they didn't appear smashed. It was as if they were dropped from a high place. A fall? If the body had fallen onto the sword of the goddess statue, would the body be severed and scattered on the ground?
How the fuck did the severing happen like that? Is all I have to ask. Like, what in gravity? I mean, I guess, like, they do have the zero gravity chamber. So the zero gravity was activated. And did he fall like that? Like, because his legs were fine.
No, such a severing would require more force. Why even drop a body from so high? It's not something one could normally do. Normally, but in that greenhouse, it may be possible. Oh! Are you okay? What's with the shouting? Have you finally lost your mind? I got it! I finally figured out the trap that killed Yoichi. Mr. Shimobe? What did you say? You're bluffing, aren't you? Will you be able to explain it with so little time left? There's more than enough time. All right. Let's hear the great detective's reasoning.
Oh no, not another one of these. All right, this is the critical moment, and I can't even save, so...
The mystery of Yoichi Kukuri's murder. I just need to finish this one theory. I need to put the images in my head in order. Let's begin the greatest unraveling of this serial murder case.
Okay, I'm scared, but we're gonna do this. What machine can be used to make the poison that Yoichi tried to obtain?
First, let's sort out what we already know.
Confirm what Yoichi tried to do, what happened, and verify it.
By doing this, we should be able to see what kind of trap led to Yoichi's death. Just like with Seizo and Tsukijiro, surely. Now, it's clear that Yoichi, still in the greenhouse, was plotting to kill Mizuno.
We're back in the delayed.
This was by adding poison to the pill in Mizuno's pouch and tricking her into swallowing it. Poison, illegal drugs, virus. Virus is defined by a mechanism and a machine concealed in the greenhouse. And that machine?
All right. We have the chemical machine.
The virus purification machine is installed in the greenhouse underground lab. To reach it, you must do two things within the greenhouse. That is,
I mean, technically, you do have to lock it, but you have to activate the lighting system, which rotates the greenhouse.
Rotate the greenhouse with the lighting system and then lower the goddess's sword.
Nope, apparently it's something else.
If you rotate the greenhouse but then open the door using the manual handle, the conditions wouldn't be met. In fact, the greenhouse door remained locked. So basically... Oh my god. Rotate the greenhouse with the lighting system, keep the door locked, pull the sword. So basically, it wasn't wrong, it just misses a step, which the other one also misses a step of the lighting system, but whatever. This will open the entrance to the underground laboratory. On the night of the incident, Yoichi must have followed these steps as well.
Like, am I being pedantic here? Probably. I'll give them that. I'm frustrated, but that's not a thing, nothing new. All right, where is the lab's unlocking procedure written?
Regarding the steps to the underground laboratory that I just confirmed. Where was that information?
It's on the wall poster.
The research room was described on that poster. It had an unusual structure. For some reason, the research room is located above a 2,000-meter underground cavity. This structure will be a key point in the deductions, so I must remember it.
All right, how is virus concentrate made?
The unlocking procedure for the underground lab is also a method for creating virus. In other words, when the entrance opens, virus is simultaneously refined. The piece with the information is...
I mean, it's asking how, it's giving me the method. This seems right. Okay. We're not overthinking things. We're going to go step by step here.
Once the refinement starts, the greenhouse and the lab should enter a certain state. The keyword that provides a clue to this is written on this piece. So what is that state? When virus production begins, the lab and the greenhouse
Okay. I know I'm sitting here in silence because I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing here. So, we know that the lab and the greenhouse can rotate, right? I don't think that means it just rotates with the lighting system. So that doesn't mean that the virus information, right, the virus is being made. I think what it's implying is zero gravity hits into place. So the lab and the greenhouse, saying that the lab and the greenhouse rise is not good English. So I'm really wondering what this is in Japanese, but if it hits zero gravity, it's going to rise.
So the whole greenhouse rises? Really? How does it work? Let's closely examine the keywords on the diagram. The piece with the outline of the lab might also be a hint. Let's look over it. You don't give me... There's no way for me to look over it. Oh my god. I don't know how it wants me to look over this. Alright, we're going to reload. Like, I will be completely honest, I'm pretty sure that like half the problems in this section is the fact that I can't look at my evidence most of the time. So I'm having to try to remember it. Like, I'm pretty sure I can't. Yeah, there's no... Yeah, there's... Okay. Do I have auto on? There we go. So it would be a lot easier for me to take a look at it when it tells me to take a look at it. When we're saving closer. If I could open it up and see it. I'll be completely honest. Like, why would you not have that as an option? Okay, a secret. I should have saved right there, but we're closer now. All right, so what machine? We know this. That machine is going to be the chemical machine. To reach it, you have to lock the greenhouse. First, activating the lighting system in the other answer, then lock it, then turn the sword. All right, where's the lab's unlocking procedure written? That's going to be on the... Oops. Where's my thing? Okay, that's on the wall poster. All right, how is virus concentrate made? Okay, so we have the method here. In order to refine virus, it is necessary to synthesize it in zero gravity. The basement lab can apparently generate zero gravity. How the fuck am I supposed to get false out of that? The refinement starts and the entire greenhouse, including the underground lab, falls. I don't know what that means. In that case, due to the laws of physics, the greenhouse and the lab would enter zero gravity. What? I didn't take, like, any physics whatsoever. So, like, just being honest here, maybe I don't know my physics, but I don't think going down into the ground causes any sort of zero gravity whatsoever. The underground cavity beneath the lab extends for 2,000 meters. From the free fall, the state of zero gravity would last for 10 to 20 seconds. Okay, so when it's made, everything in the greenhouse except for the exterior free falls. That sounds awful. Like, you would not want to have any papers on your desk from that. What happened to Yoichi when virus was being refined? Once virus purification starts and the greenhouse begins its free fall, at that moment, what would happen to Yoichi's body in the greenhouse? He would float up, right? As it was. Since the inside of the greenhouse is in zero gravity, Yoichi's body would float, as if drifting in space. Okay, what happened to floating Yoichi? In a zero gravity state, what would Yoichi do? He probably, overwhelmed by fear, tried to cling to something nearby. Like how someone drowning would cling to anything nearby. What was near Yoichi? Was there anything? I mean, the goddess sword. I will say, like, just thinking about, okay, so this lab is in free fall. Wouldn't he just hit the ceiling? Like, literally, do I just not know science? Feeling like I need to go back to high school on this one. Just before virus refinement began, Yoichi pushed down the goddess sword statue, because that was the final step to enter the underground laboratory. So then the sword should have been near the floating Yoichi. The object that had an unstable Yoichi clung to was the sword of the goddess, wasn't it? How was Yoichi killed? Finally, after all of this, Yoichi gets killed. All three brothers were killed by traps. Seizo activated the trap by breaking the support pillar, resulting in electrocution. Kishiru activated the trap by pulling out a book, which led him to be shot. So what about Yoichi? When was the trap that killed Yoichi activated? In fact, it had already been activated. After the lab entrance opened, when the sword was pulled down, the trap was triggered. The trap was why Yoichi was killed in that way. But how? What was it that severed his head and arms? I mean, was it not the goddess sword? The sword of the goddess. It has a huge sharp blade and bloodstains. This is it. I do sort of feel like if you're going to have a statue, maybe don't give it a very sharp sword. Like, it's a good thing you don't have any kids running around. This is the weirdest fucking thing to have in your garden, greenhouse, whatever you want to call it. Ironically, in his confusion, Yoichi was killed by the very hand he sought help from. Now the important part. Which part of the blade sliced Yoichi? It's going to be the upper side, right? Because he fell down onto it. The blade has bloodstains concentrated on the top side. Yoichi was slashed by the upper side. But why? Normally it would be the lower side. The changes that occurred in the greenhouse at the time made it unavoidable. Afterwards, what changed in the greenhouse? The clue is Mizuno's pouch. Most of the contents are severely damaged. Was this from when Yoichi dropped it? No, it wouldn't shatter everything from just a normal drop, would it?
I don't know, it kind of feels like cosmetics are made to be shattered. Like, anyone who has a makeup pouch can tell you, you can, like, barely bump that off a table and all of a sudden, like, all your eyeshadow is shattered. You know, like, everything is out of the tin.
It looks as if it was dropped from several hundred meters. Hundreds of meters high. This number, does anything ring a bell? The inexplicable damage to the pouch. And the fact that somehow Yoichi was cut by the upper side of the sword. The change that occurred in the greenhouse must be...
I mean, it stopped, right?
If sudden brakes are applied, what happens? The inertia on Yoichi's body would be directed downward. If a car moving at high speed suddenly stops, try to picture it from a top-down view. Yoichi's body would be slammed into the ground. The greenhouse free-falling for 2,000 meters must have reached 200 to 300 kilometers per hour. Brakes would apply the inertia in the opposite direction. Mizuno's pouch met the same fate, being slammed into the ground from a height of 2,000 meters. That explains the damage. Yoichi, on the other hand, at that time, he was clinging to the goddess's sword, pushed down and horizontal. That's why Yoichi wasn't slammed to the ground, but... this is the truth. Got it! From this evidence, the conclusion that we can draw is this. This is the trap that killed Yoichi. The trap likely activated between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. when the lighting system operated. The lighting system rotates the greenhouse and locks the door. Tsukijiro tried to use this to evade the surveillance cameras, but it seems this lighting system was designed to make the greenhouse an airtight chamber. Otherwise, those manual handles and sturdy automatic doors have no reason to exist. So what happened? How did Yoichi end up dead? In my theory, the activation of the lighting system was the first switch. Or should I say, the first trigger. And the final trigger was the goddess statue's sword. Yoichi was going to the lab to get virus concentrate and pulled down the sword, triggering the trap. As the laboratory opened, the entire greenhouse fell as a zero-gravity state was created. The underground laboratory goes down to 2,000 meters. The entire building was in zero gravity for about 10 to 20 seconds from the freefall. What happens then? In an instant, Yoichi's body would be floating. Yoichi, in a moment of panic, would have tried to cling to the nearby goddess's sword. He managed to grab the sword and tried to stay put. However, after zero gravity, brakes are activated. Then, an inertial force of over 200 kilometers an hour would act on Yoichi's body. As a result, the sword became an upside-down guillotine and sliced Yoichi. Thus, Yoichi struck the floor with his head and arms severed. This is the trap that killed Yoichi.
We're gonna pretend like I did not just struggle through that.
Yikes! A reverse guillotine!
Guillotine. I know how to read.
How outlandish! Such a crazy idea! I'd like to see it once! Shiratori, did you know about the zero-gravity device? Of course not. Kiyomasa never told me anything about how to prepare virus. Despite my multiple greenhouse outings, I never considered that the entire greenhouse could be a zero-gravity drop device. Indeed, the wealth of the Kukuri family knows no bounds. To think such a ridiculous facility was right by the mansion where we live. The president was using such a perilous device the whole time. No, originally the brakes would have been less sudden. The zero gravity was solely to refine virus. Applying sudden brakes and destroying everything inside would defeat the purpose. Therefore, it's likely that someone had deliberately made this dangerous brake system. All greenhouse devices are managed by a console, so something was altered. It seems the lighting system and the statue's sword were set as triggers. Impressive! As expected of the great detective. The concept of a zero-gravity device is quite absurd, but for now this is our best answer. So, what is the truth behind this case? I can see through you. Whoever you are, Minister or not, you're the one who did it, right? He's saying that, but what do you think, Reishimobe? Just say it and wrap this up. So the name of the culprit, the one behind the Kukuri family inheritance case, is... We're saving. I feel like he's walking me right into a trap. I'm not getting dog walked to another game over. The culprit is... It has to be Kiyomasa Kukuri. What? The chairman is the culprit? What are you saying? This is absurd. That dead geezer is the culprit. No way. That's impossible. The series of murders were all traps triggered by something. If we consider it, a trap could be set in advance. So Kiyomasa could have... And knowing the contents of the will in advance is also very important. There's only one person in this world who meets both of these conditions. That's right, Kiyomasa Kukuri. Kiyomasa was worried that the inheritance would end up with Yoichi and his other sons. I think that's when he decided to test it. To see if anyone was worthy enough to inherit the estate. All of the 3 victims died to some kind of trap. These traps were designed to activate when someone tried to knock someone else down, I think. Knock off someone else? I don't know which direction they were going with that sentence. Seizo was trying to interfere with the inheritance process. Tsukijiro was trying to murder Mizuno. Yoichi too was trying to murder Mizuno. Anyone who tries to off anyone would lose both the inheritance and their lives. This is the truth behind the Kukuri family inheritance murder case. Hold on, I still can't accept this. Did the chairman really set this up? You have no proof. There is evidence. Actually, Kiyomasa has clearly declared his guilt. As the evidence for that... Oh no! I thought I was done! Alright, this is the final part. Solving this mystery will be the final step in the case. Let's think this through. Evidence that all the murders were committed by Kiyomasa Kukuri is in his own declaration. Is this what it means by retribution? Remember the characters that we found on each of the murder weapons? Let's find it. If Kiyomasa left a declaration, it must have been in writing. If it's in writing, the first thing to focus on is Kiyomasa's handwriting. This is the diary Kiyomasa kept. Remember his handwriting well. And then, let's search for items with this handwriting. I recall there are a total of 4 items that each had a particular feature. Moreover, since Kiyomasa's declaration is essentially a confession, the order of the items matters. Imagine his preserved message and read it accurately. Alright, what was Kiyomasa's first message? The first item that had Kiyomasa's message... Okay, does it mean the first item that we found, or the first one in the word, right? Because shun is not how the word is going to start.
Where did we find the red? Literally, where did we find that? Okay, I don't see the ruh, so we're gonna go with shun. No, okay.
Indeed, this is a message left by Kiyomasa, but the order is incorrect here. What did he want to convey? Imagine the words that emerge and try to rearrange them. Okay, where is the re?
Okay, that's boo. Gun has, oh, there we go. It was on the second page. There is so much room. Why would you put that on a second page? Okay, we got this.
Certainly, this is a message left by Kiyomasa. The order is also correct. The words that emerge when everything is arranged are...
All right, second message. Second item. There we go. Okay. Now we need boo. Which I think is this one. And the fourth item. Shun. Retribution. Called it. I got one piece of this case correct. Everything else I don't feel like I did that well on.
Got it! From these clues, the conclusion that we can draw is this.
They definitely had to do some localization on that.
There are 4 pieces. When you put together the 4 pieces of the message, retribution. In other words, what goes around comes around. This notebook belongs to Kiyomasa, and the handwriting matches his. Isn't that right, Miss Mizuno? Yes, there's no mistake.
Indeed, this matches the chairman's handwriting on the documents.
After all, only the estate's owner could tamper with the system and set up the traps. By deliberately leaving the retribution note, he intended to confess to the crime. If all the traps were triggered and retribution was written, only Mizuno survives. Otherwise, Mizuno would likely be suspected, hence why he left this note. Yes, to ensure that Yori Mizuno's right as the legitimate heir would not be lost.
That's it.
We've reached noon. If there are no objections, as per the will of the deceased, Mizuno will inherit the estate. Does anyone object?
No one?
Then the inheritance meeting will be adjourned. May the heir, Yori Mizuno, be forever blessed. With that, we conclude the meeting.
Thank God. I really enjoyed that, but I would really love, like, a scientist to double check whether any of that was possible. Because that doesn't seem right to me. But again, I was not a science student, so. Still enjoyed it. Doesn't matter.
Thus, the longest 48 hours ever came to an end. This kind of thing should have been a matter completely unrelated to me. Even so, I don't think I've wasted my time. The quest for truth. I feel like I've learned something about it. Kishiru Inugami. I can't deny that I owe it to him, at least in part.
As annoying as he may be. All right, January 4th, 1242. 165 remaining until the end of the world.
Hey, thanks for coming all this way. I really wanted to talk to you alone. I was summoned by Kishiru Inugami after the meeting to the underground laboratory.
What could we possibly talk about, just the two of us? Girl, we need more answers. We need stuff about the founder's death, you know?
Now that the inheritance meeting is over, could it be about the founder's murder case? But this person who killed the culprit, this person could be the culprit who killed me. Could it be that he wants to kill me to prevent being investigated? But if he wanted to silence me, he would have already done it. What's going on? The angels also haven't appeared in a while now. What do I do? Nesimobe? Yes. First of all, I must thank you for solving the case. No. It was something I brought up myself. By the way, didn't you find it strange? What do you mean? As someone who upholds the law, I didn't call the Ministry of Security despite the murders.
I mean, is it strange? I didn't think so. I mean, I think he's already on to us, so, nah.
That's because I, as a detective, volunteered to investigate.
I am a law enforcer. Don't you think I have an obligation to report to the the security ministry?
Yes, that's true. Then why? Well, the reason is
to prevent the case from being solved too quickly.
Huh?
You didn't want this case to be solved quickly?
That's right. At the very least, until one of the brothers revealed how to enter this lab. I didn't want the case to be resolved.
Okay, so, he chose us because he thought that we were incompetent enough to take that long. I love that for us.
That's why I didn't call the ministry, despite its resources and investigation skills. In other words, you wanted to find this lab and wanted the murders to continue for that? If that's how you want to interpret it. Could it be that you knew these murders would happen before coming here? Well, kind of, considering the will. And I knew their personalities very well. In fact, I was the one who proposed the idea for that will.
So, did you ask me since you knew I was a detective? As an excuse not to call them? Indeed, what a super detective! You figured it out! Oh, hold on, wait a second! This conversation is strange. Indeed, the case has been solved, the murder trap was revealed, and the culprit found. The motive was also clear, and the inheritance was resolved. Everything was settled. Yet, the way he talks is as if the incident solution and conclusion were preordained. Now that I think about it, in the meeting, Kishiru Inugami said something like that. You act like you've been piecing it together, but hasn't someone been guiding you? Nesimobe, could it be that someone's deceiving you? That someone was not Mizuno. The one who was guiding me, deceiving me. Okay, I'm scared. I don't like that look. So it was actually you, wasn't it? Let me tell you an old story. Huh? It's the story you wanted to hear before. It's about why I quit being a private detective. Sure. I mentioned that I was requested by Kiyomasa at that time, didn't I? Yes. You said that the request was about money stolen from the safe at Kukuri Pharmaceuticals. The suspect was one of the 6 executives of the company, right? Well remembered. You're an excellent detective. Then I, as an even more skilled detective, successfully identified the culprit. Supposedly. Supposedly? The story about the company's money being stolen, it was a lie. A lie? The person I apprehended, let's call him Mr. Y for now. Mr. Y confessed to the theft. However, he insisted that what he stole was not money. He claimed that he only stole some documents. He claimed he had proof of wrongdoing and intended to use it to expose the situation. But no one believed what Mr. Y said, given his appearance as a petty crook. I also did not trust Mr. Y, but believed Kiyomasa. He was strict, but sincere. His contributions to our country were also significant. And as promised, the thief was dealt with internally within the organization.
Mr. Y was made to resign, and that was the end of it. No criminal record was attached. You have to take the good with the bad. That's what Kiyomasa said. To achieve greatness, you need your ideals and to accept all kinds of things. As someone who aspires to be a just detective, it seemed like too naive of an attitude towards evil. But perhaps I was the naive one. Why do you think you were naive? And the money being stolen was a lie. A few days after the case was solved, Mr. Y was found dead. Uh-huh. According to the ministry investigation, he overdosed on drugs and drove himself to suicide. Just before Mr. Y's death, he was seen in a downtown area wielding a knife. He was reported to have been rampaging and spouting nonsense. And finally, he gouged out his own eyes and died, and we know that that happens to people on virus. Horrific. To commit suicide by drug overdose breaks many doctrines. No doubt he was a heretic. Indeed, it seemed a fitting end to he who stole company money. I thought this until... What happened? A series of bizarre deaths followed, involving people having their eyes gouged out. It was really a sensational case. You probably remember it, right? Well, The ministry suspected a connection with a notorious murderer who did something similar. But I didn't think so, because most of the victims were somehow associated with Kukuri Pharmaceuticals. And among them were the remaining 5 suspects from the theft case I solved. And there was no one left who knew about that incident besides Kiyomasa and I. Well then, great detective, what do you see from here? To silence him, right? That's right, no doubt about it. At the time, doubts and anxieties were beginning to well up inside me. A letter arrived for me. The sender was Mr. Y. Uh-huh. It seems that Mr. Y sent me a letter just before he died. At that time, for some reason, I was moving my office location, so delivery was delayed. What did it say? The truth about the theft. At the time, Y had claimed the wrongdoing was true. No, it wasn't just that. Kiyomasa Kukuri was involved in a crime that could have toppled our country. The evidence materials were a secret ledger and manufacturing procedure notes. Those were the actual stolen goods he took. Well, the crooked accounting is one thing, but what about the manufacturing procedures? Oh, I forgot to mention, but the drug that led to Mr. Y's suicide? It was a prototype of a certain drug that would spread throughout the country. A certain drug. Virus. Virus! The very same virus that was being developed here? A crime that could end the country. Perhaps Mr. Y was trying to expose the illegal manufacture and distribution of virus. Precisely. As revealed in the meeting, Kiyomasa Kukuri was secretly selling virus to heretics. He amassed a fortune rivaling the national budget. It wasn't his chemical manufacturing or tobacco smuggling that got him rich. It was virus. Huh? So, Kishiru Inugami knew about this. The fact that Kiyomasa Kukuri was making virus? Mr. Y was trying to tell the public, and he failed. No, I stopped him. I still remember his face when I said he was the culprit. I resent myself for immersing in the thrill of mystery solving. Playing detective. I want to strangle myself. Now you understand why Kiyomasa didn't report the theft, right? He didn't want the stolen items to be seen. Virus is a matter of national treason. An instant death penalty. Kiyomasa twisted the details and asked me to solve it, all to cover up the truth. Perhaps he wasn't sure who stole it and needed to confirm. He wanted to get back the stolen evidence right away, but couldn't trust the ministry. But killing all six suspects, offing them all at once, is too conspicuous and dangerous. If he was going to kill them, it had to be one by one, but there wasn't time to spare. So it was better to leave it to a novice detective like me. Do you understand? Someone who seemed likely to identify the culprit quickly, yet not have the influence. Just like how Kishiru Inugami discovered me. I acted exactly according to Kiyomasa's intentions and achieved the expected results. Mr. Y was captured and the evidence needed for a trial recovered. Kiyomasa won. Do you remember when I told you that? You act like you've been piecing it together, but hasn't someone been guiding you? Could it be that someone is deceiving you? That was directed at myself back then. And you have to take the good with the bad? It's wrong. I was the one who took the bad. Wait, but the evidence reached you, right? How? Wasn't it collected by Kiyomasa? Perhaps Mr. Y hid a part of it before he died. For example, by swallowing it. Swallowing it? Mr. Y, who foresaw his own death, probably placed his last hope for truth in me. So the evidence of Kiyomasa's virus crimes indeed reached you, didn't it? Wouldn't it have been better if you made the accusation based on that evidence? Yes, I tried to. But I couldn't. No, I became unable to. The curse of silencing reached me as well. Huh? A group of heretics driven mad by virus attacked my office. Probably agents of Kiyomasa. My office was destroyed and the evidence was stolen. Were you all right? I barely managed to escape. Fleeing is the one thing I'm good at. But there was no guarantee I would remain safe. I am the only survivor who knows about Kiyomasa's crimes. That's why I decided to quit being a detective and hid in darkness. In darkness? What's... Yes, it's as you think. By surrendering to darkness, I also made it clear that I was on Kiyomasa's side. And I tried to create the impression that I was a fool who wasn't seriously investigating. So, just pretending? Of course. While playing the fool, I planned to secretly keep investigating. As I mentioned, I was looking for answers that couldn't be found from the bright side. So, it was an act. All that until now was a performance? Do you know the expression, the mummy hunter becomes the mummy?
Accuse him of what? Of murdering the founder? Is now the time? Why would I accuse him?
I'll pretend I didn't hear any of that.
Did I miss something there? Like what? Oops. I don't need to be... Where is my button to see the log? Okay. As a follower of the unlawful, I intended to condemn Kiyomasa from the underground. Eradicating the Kukuri's family drug business, that became my life's mission. Have you managed to find clues since then? No, the investigation has been endlessly difficult and treacherous. I had no investigatory power, and certain restrictions meant that Kiyomasa must never notice. It really was a hopeless situation. It seems that since then, Kiyomasa had become even more cautious. Everything was cleverly hidden, and I couldn't even catch a hint of it. It was at that time that the founder came to me. An invitation to be the Minister of Justice, right? Looking back, that invitation was a godsend. It would provide me with the authority to openly investigate, the world's top authority. Even if I couldn't take direct action, I could research while investigating other cases. I can also access past case records at the Ministry of Justice headquarters for clues. Moreover, the founder knew my true intentions and even approved this behavior. Even now, I am grateful to the founder for this. So, what happened next? I made considerable progress thanks to my position, and started to understand things. Things like the Kukuri family secretly growing tobacco as the raw material for virus. So you already knew about the tobacco. Why was it left unchecked? Just catching them for that wouldn't do much. Tobacco's legal, but cultivating it isn't. Unfortunately, I couldn't secure evidence of it being sold to the heretics. Even if we quickly arrested them, it wouldn't amount to much of a crime.
Worse, someone could be framed for the crime or could be covered up. Kiyomasa Kukuri was cunning. I suspected he bribed officers from the ministries. A half-hearted investigation would only allow him to escape. Then he would hide it all. It would make it impossible to find the source and the hidden routes of virus. To prevent that, we needed decisive, irrefutable evidence. Like discovering a hidden Kukuri family virus production facility somewhere. Da-da-da! Yes, right here. I was looking for this place here. I was determined to find it no matter what. But don't tell me that you actually tried to incite these incidents. And then, finally, the chance presented itself. I was approached by Kiyomasa himself. Was it consultation about the inheritance? No, at first it was just minor things like business advice or complaints about his sons. It seems he was assessing me, wondering if I was still looking into the past case. But after a few meetings, he must have assumed I had apathy. He confided in me that he was dying. I was really shocked by the reality that this man will soon die. I was also disappointed that I wouldn't be able to catch him alive. At the very least, I must bring virus to light. I had to expose the Kukuri family. I knew Kiyomasa was worried about his sons who would inherit his fortune. The family's downfall was sure. They didn't get along, so dividing the inheritance would surely fail. He didn't want to pass it on to anyone in the company either. They were all just yes men. They were all likely to betray him after his death. He couldn't trust anyone. And then, I was so surprised. He repeatedly uttered words of regret. Like, why did it end up like this? He talked about adopting 3 sons as a backup, but making mistakes in raising them. He micromanaged the entire company. As a result, no one could grow. I have nothing. He sounded like he regretted his way of life. Maybe his illness mentally fatigued him. He no longer had that intimidating presence. He also mentioned that the only person he could trust was Mizuno, his daily caretaker. It was written in his diary as well. It seems like Kiyomasa was truly grateful to Mizuno. I felt like it was too late, however. Kiyomasa came to me for advice. Is it possible for Mizuno to inherit all of my assets? That's when I had an idea. Using this, I came up with a plan to wipe it all out. So, you suggested that will? Yes, I did. And Kiyomasa immediately accepted my idea. It seems that he hoped the inheritance might bridge the gap between his sons and Mizuno. But, as seen from the prisoner's dilemma, it'd take a miracle for such a situation to arise. Can I ask you something? Did you...
I mean, I think he very obviously wanted revenge on Kiyomasa.
Mr. Inugami, did you know the 3 brothers would die? Yes, I knew it was likely. Although that was only after I found out Seizo was dead. From then on, I realized that I would never get conclusive evidence with them alive. In fact, the results were pretty close to what I predicted. The only thing I didn't expect was your talent in solving the case. It would have been fine if it remained unsolved, since I found this place. So as long as you had evidence of virus, you didn't care about anything else? Correct. It's no matter for me who dies or who inherits the estate. That's terrifying. He didn't care if Mizuno was framed or even killed? Did you want to take revenge on Kiyomasa? As in, you couldn't forgive him for using you? Revenge? Nah, probably not. While I did hold a grudge against him for crushing my dreams, that was just me being naive. It's thanks to him I got the chance to get where I am now. But I wouldn't say I'm grateful to him. Simply, there was a mission I had to accomplish. I had to deny the mistakes he had made. Do you think Kiyomasa intended to kill his sons from the beginning? No, that's not the right way to say it. Do you think he thought it was okay to die if one gave in to one's desires? Well, yes. He did set up such dangerous traps. Incorrect. The answer is no. Huh? Why? In the plan that Kiyomasa and I devised, the traps were supposed to maim, not kill. At worst, they would have ended up unconscious and sent to the hospital. As long as I could make them believe they would be killed, that alone would have done it. But the traps that were actually set were entirely different. They were all traps devised by the Reaper. Why? Have you heard of what happened the day before Kiyomasa's death? He had been bedridden, but was suddenly able to walk. Uh, yeah. He was seen walking around the mansion, I heard. Kiyomasa changed the traps during that time. But the disease may have caused more damage than expected. His body had become so weak that he could no longer get up on his own. So in the end, he even used it on himself as a stimulant. Virus. What? Virus? So then, that was the special medicine that Domon mentioned? Without a doubt, it was virus. What would administering virus do? In the case of Mr. Y, after the crime, he took his own life. Then, how about Kiyomasa? Did it lead to the murder of his own sons? Virus is a very scary drug. An overdose of it transforms us into different people and drives us into a frenzy. That's why we have to completely eradicate virus. Is virus really such a terrifying drug?
Yeah, we got a taste of that. It was not fun. I mean, it was fun for me, the player, but not fun for poor Ray.
But why do the heretics want something like that? It's said to be a ritualistic item for getting closer to God.
I mean, all I did was run around and hallucinate Nephilim, so
You do understand how the virus could end the Shuten order, right? I decided to make it my life's work to eradicate virus. It's also a way to repay the founder for accepting me. Kishiru Inugami, are you really the one who killed me? Maybe so. Maybe not. The more we talk, the less I understand what kind of person you are. If Inugami's the culprit, to finish the ritual, you'll have to take your soul back from the culprit by killing the murderer. Am I even capable of killing? But finally, my fervent wish has been fulfilled. In the end, I couldn't arrest Kiyomasa. He managed to cleverly evade punishment. I lost. He was a horrible man. Inugami, I understand why you planned something like this, and I get your feelings as well. Really? Even though I don't understand my own heart? Please don't make fun of me. What I'm saying is, whatever the reason, what you did was incitement to murder. Even if that wasn't your intention. Is this what they call negligence? Not really caring if someone gets killed and just turning a blind eye? So I guess the great detective's next job will to pursue the instigator. No, I have another job that needs urgent attention. That's right. You are investigating the murder of the founder. I think you need to atone for your sins in some way. It's not for me to judge, but I know. If the founder was still alive, I would have sought to have him punish me. Really? The founder? I was thinking of resigning from my position at the Ministry of Justice when this is over, despite the feeling that he would have forgiven me. But I still want to quit my job. And then? No. Since the founder passed away, that became an impossible dream. How can I make up for it? If I were to save the world, would I be forgiven?
Maybe? I'm just kidding.
But if I had the chance, I would like to give it a try. Try to be a hero. I've always admired that thing called justice. Well then, it was a long story. Thank you very much, Deishimobe, for listening to it all. But why? Why tell it to me? Indeed, if you hadn't, no one would have ever known. I wonder why. Maybe I just wanted to get it off my chest. So, what are you going to do now? I have nothing to do, so I was planning to go and die somewhere, but... huh? I never know how seriously I should interpret what he's saying. But meeting you has changed my mind. Meeting me? If there are detectives like you, whose future plans are unknown, then life may be worth living.
Are you praising me?
From now on, I want to watch closely as you solve the case. I want to support you. How about it? Would you like to hire me as your assistant? I can be paid after cases are resolved. I'm sorry, I don't really trust you much, Inugami.
You're also a suspect in my murder.
Even in that meeting just now, you pretended to be the culprit. But it was you who suspected me, wasn't it? By my calculations, that was the shortest way of getting to the truth. And it was fun, too. Well, enough joking. Shall we head back now? Everyone's probably waiting for us. Mr. Inugami, you haven't forgotten your promise, have you? That once your request is finished, you would tell me the rest of the founder incident? Yes, I haven't forgotten. I'll tell you when we leave. But only if the area off the island is still safe.
What do you mean?
Come on, let's go. If we stay any longer, we'll catch virus. Here's the exit.
I mean, from what I remember, shit's going down like everywhere. And if we aren't there to fix it, I don't know what happens. All right, 322. 165 remaining. So the population hasn't taken a nosedive yet.
Hey, Mizuno. I mean, President Mizuno. Despite being accused at the meeting, you stood your ground with remarkable bravery. That is a great skill. Oh my god.
Yes, ma'am.
You have an important skill set for the company. Please help us. Oh no, the flies are already buzzing about. How shameful. Look, Dr. Shiratori, don't you agree? How pathetic, old hag. Huh, what did you just... More importantly, Mizuno, what do you plan to do with that greenhouse? Me? Nothing, really. In that case, how about you leave the management to me? I have some knowledge about drugs, so it wouldn't be too bad if... Are you discussing plans in front of the head of the Ministry of Justice? I'm not impressed. By the way, Shiratori, upon returning, you'll be questioned at the Ministry of Justice. The evidence was in the log in the underground laboratory. I still haven't forgotten how you called me a murderer. That's not... As for that greenhouse, the Order will take it over. After all, it would be dangerous if virus falls into the hands of heretics. You're just saying that. You're going to use it for yourself. Let's just pretend I didn't hear any of that.
After all, I'm in a good mood today.
And all of this is thanks to the discovery of an interesting talent named Leishimobe. Wow, I have a feeling something exciting is going to happen. I just want to confirm one thing. You are really not the culprit in the Kukuri family murder case? The great detective has already provided you with an answer, hasn't he? So, isn't that correct? Young Master Seizo's body has been brought to the mansion. It may be an unlucky boat, but it's the only way to get to the other side. Oh, it's okay, I don't mind. A boat needs rowers. Hey, Leishimobe, it's your turn. Me? Someone likes bossing people around. Did you say something? No. Or rather, when we get to the other side, please continue with that topic. Oh, yes, of course. But still, it's wordy. This is your punishment for not trusting me. We'll do the talk tomorrow instead. Now's not the time for joking around, you know? Well, I don't really understand, but then I'll go ahead and wait on the boat. Oh, that's right. Don't you need to bring your friends on the boat? What? They are here, right? The two suspicious ones?
I love Inugami. Like, this man misses absolutely nothing.
You knew? Let me give you a word of advice. Don't believe what they say. Well, I'll be waiting. So go and say your goodbyes. The two suspicious ones. He means the angels, right? Don't believe what they say. Himeru, Mikotoru. Why am I trying to get myself back? What for? For the Order? For God? Or just for my own sake? What's wrong? I'm starting to lose track. Mr. Shimobe. Miss Mizuno. The meeting ended without any issue. What can I say? I'm so glad that you're alive. It's all thanks to you, Mr. Shimobe. If it weren't for you, I probably would have broken down and confessed to a crime I didn't do. I don't think so. Mizuno, you have such willpower. Even after inheriting a fortune, it wouldn't corrupt you. Thank you so much for everything. For someone like me. You're doing it again. Oh! I still can't get rid of the habit. But I feel like I've become a little more positive. As for the inheritance, I haven't felt the reality of it yet. I hope I can use this money to help improve the Shuten order, even if it's just a little bit. The Shuten order. Nothing, you're right. To make the order a little better. Yes! One last thing. Can I hold your hand, Mr. Shimobe? Okay. I just had a route where I had to have 3 fucking girlfriends. And this one I tried absolutely nothing and had no problems picking up a girl. Of course, you can hold it as much as you want. Mr. Shimobe, I'll never forget today. And you too. Well, that's not great. Mizuno? No! This can't be! Mizuno! Mizuno! What? Was that a gunshot? It's the heretics! Shimobe, run! Huh? Why? Why the heretics? Just run! Hurry! You cannot die, right? Cannot die? What do you mean? Could it be a reincarnation thing? Kishiru Inugami. Who is he really? If we survive, let's meet again. Okay, it's time to go, guys. Mizuno! Mizuno! Hold on! She's got a bullet in her brain, girl. Let's go. In the end, you managed to survive, but you were supposed to be happy. Nay! Over here! Over here! Don't bother with that corpse! Let's get out of here! But, I'm sorry. Mizuno. Well, this is... well. And that's all she wrote. My body can't walk anymore. Now I'm going to... What can I do? Oh, we're down. That's a serious injury. It may not be possible to repair it. Then what can we do? There was still plenty of time until the next dawn. It is unavoidable. We should finish it for her. Well, I guess she is useless now, so there's no other way. Ouch! So, see you around. Yes, you did your best. Although, I guess that wasn't enough. So, where are we going? Himeru? Mikotoru? Help! Oh my god, we're being left to fucking die. As one last thing, can I hold your hand, Mr. Shimobe? Of course, you can hold it as much as you want. Mr. Shimobe, I'll never forget today. Never forget. Yes, you did your best. Although, I guess that wasn't enough. Never forget. Don't believe what they say. Never forget. Ever forget. For... Alright, and we've finished the Kishiru Inugami route. You know, despite all of the frustration, right, because there was a lot of frustration in it, I did enjoy it. I wish it was a little more refined, but Inugami as a character is
fantastic. So, all right, and we're back at 167 remaining till the end of the world. All right, we're gonna go ahead and skip all of this because we've seen it 100 times. I guess we've not seen it 100 times, but we've seen it a lot of times. And I believe we have 4 out of 5. We found both legs now. I think now all we're doing is missing an arm, so... And I think, yeah, so we've only got one route left. So our last route will be the Ministry of Health. Ushitora Yungen. Yugen. I can read it. That I was reading the bottom left one, and that U looks like an N. All right, so our story will be someone has kidnapped 21 people, including Yugen Ushitora. They've been locked up in an unknown location and are forced to play a life-threatening game. In order to get him to confess, you must first solve the case. Our game genre will be extreme escape adventure. It sounds like we're going into a killing game. I'm excited. Killing games are more sort of the genre that I play a lot of, so I feel like maybe I will hopefully be a little bit better at this one. So... excellent. Our gatekeeper to the afterlife. I won't accept any conclusion that isn't proper and fair. Clean water flows into clean rivers. There's a lot of English that was right there. But excellent. So, we are getting into the Ministry of Health next time. Very excited. And I'll see you then. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out.
Bye.